Let's talk a little bit as we transition out of the 30-year anniversary of Nitro. Let's get back into April 1996. And before we do, we'll talk about how we wrapped up March. And we talked about Uncensored. Coming out of that, the Giant earns a title shot against Ric Flair. And on March 25th in Huntsville, Flair defends the world title, and the match will break apart, Arn. He choke slams Flair. Liz and Woman try to help. You run in with a chair. Sullivan gets choke slam. You laugh at him getting choke slam, but then the Giant plants a choke slam on you, and he walks out, leaving everybody laying. I got to ask, do you think that fans are buying Ric Flair? And listen, it's Ric Flair, so we were all in on Flair, but him one-on-one with the Giant just looked incredible. He was in the best shape of his life at this point. He could destroy everybody. He was destroying everybody.
I don't think anybody thought if it was a one-on-one and it stayed one-on-one that anybody had a chance. I mean, just looking at the guy, including Rick, but they also knew Rick had accomplices, and in the back of everybody's mind, they thought, well, once he gets in real deep trouble, deep water, here comes the cronies and his buddies, and that's always in the back of their mind. That's how he was able to stay champion all that time, because he had a safety net.
A posse. Always had a group or something, or a leg on the rope, a horseman, leg to the crotch, leg on the rope, a horseman member, Liz. I mean, it always had something going on, for sure.
That's how he kept his feet.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump into now that final Nitro in April. It's Daytona Beach, Florida. Rick defends the world title against the Giant, and it doesn't last long, Arn. Flair goes for the figure four. Giant he grabs him by the throat, choke slams him, and just like that, we got a new world champion. Talk to me about the Giant. Did you think at this point, hey, he's ready for the world title? Do you feel like the office believe in the guy at this point? And I don't know, because he wins the title here, but we know just a few months later, NWO's coming in and the whole world changes. Hogan ends up with the belt. It just feels like almost a transitional time period. Do you feel like he deserved more than just what he gets here for this brief time?
Well, yeah, they should have held him off. He should have had a longer run as the champion. Yeah. And the NWO pretty much overrode anything else that was going on. Everything else was a distant second. He was something special. He is something special for, there was one Giant in my estimation, which is Andre. Paul was just over 7 feet tall, 400 pounds, perfectly symmetrical, incredible athlete. Basketball was his thing. Not sure if everybody's up to speed on that, but he played college, basketball. That takes a special kind of athlete. Wichita State, I think, is where he played. But he was he was a natural for our business. You could lead him, you could teach him, and he was right there. He was a great athlete, loved wrestling. He'll tell you the story about coming to the matches as a 14-year-old down in Columbia, South Carolina, where he's from. He would come to the matches when we'd be in town and be off at a distance. And at 14, he said he was like 6'3", so he was taller than I was at that time. But it was interesting to know that he was a fan and he would watch and he could tell you stuff. And, it was just cool, because when he grew up, he damn sure grew up.
Would have loved to, and again, this is my opinion. I'm interested to hear all of your opinion. I know they ended up sucking him into the NWO, right? As they did with many stars back then, as the NWO decided to grow. I felt like, man, he would have been one you could have kept on the side of the good guys and really built that good guy stable around.
Well, you absolutely could have, if you were going to bring him into the fold as just like an enforcer or, something like that, that's a small use of a big talent. He should have been the guy featured. I don't know that you would, like you said, Paul, that you ever had to bring him into the NWO. He would have been the one thing that WCW could have counted on at some point to make things right, and just keep pushing him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he could have been the foundational piece to the WCW component, challenging the NWO. Been a lot of antagonizing and done matches with Nash and Razor and Hogan, and really, you could have only drawn that out because he was that good. He was that athletic. Maybe have a mouthpiece with him. I don't know, but just something a little bit different.
Well,
but
pretty quickly, it got so lopsided when you started adding guys to the NWO. There were players, obviously, and it got lopsided the other way, and suddenly WCW were the underdogs big time.
Yeah, it was obvious. It was less 50-50, and it just became so lopsided, to your point.
You were just praying for us to get a breath of anything.
Yeah,
the WCW guys.
Well, listen, we are wrapping up April 1996. Hogan wrestles his last match as a babyface. Flair drops the title. The Giant is crowned the champion. WCW feels a little unstable, but just weeks later, Scott Hall is going to be walking in the Nitro. Arn, did it feel to you in April that something had to give, that WCW was ready and ripe for a shakeup here?
Yeah, it kind of felt like we needed to switch gears a little bit. I wasn't sure what that was, but it just felt like you needed to switch gears.
We got a super chat in from Instagram, a wrestling historian. What did you think of the Giant becoming the WCW champion, Arn?
I just knew at some point they had to beat him. It would have been better to hold it off to later on, kept him over a special attraction off to the side for me. He deserved
for a bigger moment.
Yeah. He deserved his own single push when, if it would have been 6 months down the road, who knows, a year down the road, and you need something fresh, let him earn a title shot somehow.
Especially if you have the foresight of the NWO coming, and like I said, he's never won the belt, and then you can really build to a massive event where he's never won it before.
For sure.
Yeah, I like that. Ryan again said, Arn, have you heard the story of Hogan and Savage telling Giant to carry the title belt around the airport? And Sting was like, listen, they're ribbing you, man. Have you heard that story?
Yeah. I'm sure that happened. Yeah. And if it's Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage telling you to do it, who would know different?
Yeah.
Do what they say, right?
That's right. Listen,
Hogan top guys in the business, they can't be steering him wrong. I'm sure he didn't know what ribbing was in those days.